everyone. Today I'm going to be talking to you about reverse career planning. That's what I like to call it. So basically the goal of this exercise is to take the aims that you're currently working on and create them into your dream career or our goal here. So typically I actually like to do this exercise on a huge trifold poster board, and that's highly what I recommend you guys using to plan out your own careers. And then I typically split up the initiatives I'm currently working on, and then I list all the projects I'm currently working on under these aims and see how to prioritize which endeavors to best achieve my overall goal or career goal. And so let's go ahead and walk through an example to help give you an idea of what I mean. So let's say that your career goal is to become an anatomy educator. So I'm going to write that in here. Anatomy educator. And what I mean by that is, let's say that you want to be, a PhD who is going to teach medical students and health professional students, as well as other PhD students, anatomy. So for our first aim, let's say this is going to be education. And then for our second aim, I'm actually going to keep switching pen colors. And ideally, you'll make each of these columns its own color to really help you prioritize. And let's say our second aim is research. And let's say our third aim is going to be outreach. So if you are a student just starting out, perhaps you haven't started your PhD, perhaps you're just getting your PhD, what does education mean? So what I would actually say is education, the start of it is choosing a program. So if I wanted to be an educator, for instance, I would make sure to find an anatomy PhD that will allow me to teach. So this could be a teaching opportunities. Maybe that's something we want to prioritize. That would absolutely help us get to our goal. You want to make sure to study different programs and opportunities. Maybe you want the opportunity to make sure you have a higher level dissection skills. So you want to make sure you choose a program that's going to allow you to prioritize dissection, or perhaps even travel to another location to prioritize dissection, such as like maybe the Body World exhibit or other anatomical exhibits and dissect for them. So all of these things are things that will help me prioritize my first aim of education. And having that strong base of education will absolutely be vital for that anatomy educator role. Also, make sure you look for valuable mentors that can help you along your career path and that they are available in your program. So if that's our education path, let's look at our research path. So for research, again, this is the idea if you want to be an anatomy educator. Let's say you would prioritize research with students or education research. Let's say you have a passion for neuroscience. Make sure you have the opportunity to do neurology-based studies. And make sure you have the opportunity to again, work with students on research. So some specific examples, actually in my past, I was an anatomy educator, and things that I did was I published different artistic tools in anatomy. So I would also say publications absolutely need to be a priority here. So this can be using arts in anatomy. Also gamification. Sorry, my pen is dying here. So gamification can include much more than just your typical Jeopardy. I've done gamification with escape rooms, virtual and in person. I have done Taboo, a Taboo anatomy game. I've done a Monopoly-based one. There are actually many different ways to use gamification in anatomy. It could also be, research here could also be different uses of anatomy to teach students. So that could be using prosections or other technology. Again, all going back to educational research here. Other technology could include virtual reality. There is anatomy of virtual reality, but I've also actually done embodied labs. I'll write this here for you. And Embodied Labs is a program that actually allows you to step in a patient's shoes with different debilitating diseases and experience what they experience. So I've actually done research in all of these areas. Gamification, arts and anatomy. We did a drawing of the dural venous sinuses. I've done a little bit with prosections. I've done a lot with virtual reality. And if you're ever interested, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to share the publications with you. So these are all different ideas of how I can do educational research. Again, notice that I'm prioritizing educational research to get to that overarching goal of anatomy educator. So then let's look at outreach. Outreach can mean many different things. It could mean mentoring fellow students. Oh, I'm sorry, my handwriting's terrible today. Fellow students. So this could be undergrads, it could be fellow grad students, perhaps that are, a couple years below you, and more. It could also mean community outreach. And I've also been able to do some of that with anatomy education. So this could mean working with high school students on a volunteer basis, helping them be exposed to anatomy and the different things it can provide them. It could be just talking to all grades about what it's like to be a PhD and a scientist. It could also mean being part of organizations, those international organizations and national organizations that are really vital for careers in academia. So one organization I was a part of was the AAA, the American Anatomist Association. That was a great organization, and being active in that would absolutely influence that anatomy educator objective. There's also IAMSE, which is the International Association for Medical Science Education. So there are many different professional organizations. There's community outreach to do. And again, all of this will increase your resume to help be that anatomy educator. To be a full professor, we know that national and international reputations matter. So these professional organizations are going to help you achieve that goal. So let's wrap this all together, okay? So let's say again, you're just beginning to look at PhD programs. You want to do a PhD. You have your ideal goal in mind, being this anatomy educator. How do we prioritize different things? And I'm just going to bring out my highlighter here. So everything under education here, right? Choosing that opportunity, choosing that program, making sure you have those teaching opportunities and dissection and appropriate mentors, they're all going to directly relate to anatomy educator. So maybe right now, your major focus is directly under AIM 1. Or let's say you're already in a PhD program, and let's say you're halfway through or you're about to graduate. Well, then your aim, you might be focusing more on research and outreach. So that might mean joining those professional organizations to up that resume before you begin applying for jobs. Increasing your research, perhaps you're working on your publications, and you're still working on mentors. So there's ways that, we can prioritize different aspects of each of these aims that will help us reach this overarching goal. And throughout your career, these lists are going to change and adapt. But the point is that this allows us to strategize and help us pick out the projects that we most need to focus on. So another quick example for publications, for instance, let's say I have, 4 different projects, okay, that I'm working on that I could potentially publish. Well, I would make sure to choose whatever research aspect to focus or publish first on whatever is going to help me get to my overarching goal of an anatomy educator. So if one publication is about education and the others, let's say, are not about education, well, I am going to prioritize and try to get that education one published first, because that's going to directly influence that anatomy educator goal. And let's say for outreach, if I had to, choose, am I going to be part of AAA or the, Medical Science Educator Association? I might choose the anatomy one because that directly affects anatomy education. So it's not that you're not working on the other goals, but it allows you to help prioritize and create your most urgent needs. So then I can go over here to my goal list and go, okay, the absolute first thing I need to get done is I need to do my publication, right, for anatomy. And then let's say I want to get more involved in my outreach. So I'm going to get more involved in AAA. And then I also need to make sure I have positive mentors that are going to help me apply for jobs. So perhaps my first 3 priorities, if I'm about to graduate, would be finishing up that publication to help me get a job, make sure I'm active in my professional organization, and also make sure I have positive mentors helping me go forward. So again, we're eventually going to get to all of this, but we just can't do all of our tasks and all of our ideas all at once. So prioritizing and figuring out what's going to help you reach your goal is so, so valuable. And this is going to change, like I had mentioned before, throughout our careers. And perhaps this goal will change. Perhaps it will be, being on the board of a professional association. So these aims will change. But even having a mini poster board or, poster board just to experiment with your ideas, even if you haven't gotten to a PhD yet, I find immensely helpful. So I hope you found this tutorial helpful. Please feel free to ask any questions and visit my website and blog at www.jacquellenphd.com.